Hello students, welcome to another class on the topic on the face of it. In our last class, we got to know that Mr. Lamb and Derry, both of them were engaged in a conversation. Derry, who initially seemed to be very reserved, very defiant, very introvert, with time he seems to be mixing up with Mr. Lamb. Okay, Mr. Lambৰ লগত Derry লাহে লাহে মিক্স আপ হৈ গৈছে আৰু যিটো লৰাই আহিয়ে গাৰ্ডেনখনৰ পৰা যাও লগাইছিলে he was eager to go away, he was in a panicking situation, he was anxious to leave the place. That same boy Derry, he was spending time voluntarily in the garden and talking to Mr. Lamb, okay? And he didn't know how time was passing. Although the garden gate was open, Derry was not going away. He didn't want to go away, in fact, okay? And both of them were talking to each other, okay? And Derry tried to draw Mr. Lamb's attention towards his face. But Mr. Lamb was least interested in the apparent appearance of a person, okay? He was not interested to know how Derry had got a burned face or what Derry's name is, who he is, from where does he come. All these things does not interest him at all. But it was Derry who was trying to draw his attention towards his burned face, okay? Aru ami ki gom palo that Mr. Lamb, before Mr. Lamb, Derry told that it was because of acid that his face got burned. Acid had eaten up his face, it had eaten him from inside. So he was slowly opening up his mind before Mr. Lamb, okay? He was telling so many things before Mr. Lamb. He was as if he had found a person before whom he could express his heart, express his inner feelings. And Derry was also surprised to meet a person like Mr. Lamb who was so different from others. He was filled with positivity. Mr. Lamb এনেকুৱা এজন মানুহ আছিলে যি নিজৰ মাইণ্ডত অকল পজিটিভ থটছ সেট হৈছিলে. His attitude towards life was fully positive, okay? He was totally against the negative attitude towards life. He told Derry to look at his wheat garden. He looked at the wheat garden. Then he tried to tell Derry to show him that nothing created by God is inferior or superior. For him, everything was equal. It is only human beings who make discrimination among themselves or discrimination among things, different things, okay? For Mr. Lamb, a flowering plant is of the same value and the weed also is of the same value. এই কথাবিলাকে মিষ্টাৰ লেম্বৰ এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কথাবিলাকে ডেৰিক মানে আচৰিত খুৱাইছিলে. ডেৰি আচৰিত হৈছিলে, এনেকুৱা মানুহ ইমান পজিটিভ. So slowly he was developing a connection, or you may say developing a bond with Mr. Lamb, okay? He was slowly drawn towards Mr. Lamb. He was getting attracted towards this person, Mr. Lamb, okay? And in our last class, we got to know that Mr. Lamb told Derry about the story of the Beauty and the Beast, okay? Mr. Lamb Derrick নিজে সুধিলে যে what have you learned from the story Beauty and the Beast? It was not Mr. Lamb who had told him the story. Other people had told Derry the story, okay? Many people used to tell him inspiring stories. Many people used to tell him about the condition of people who are worse than him. কিন্তু এইবোৰ কথাই Derry কেতিয়াও মানে ইনস্পায়াৰ কৰিব পৰা নাছিলে. Derry নিজে Mr. Lamb ক'লে Beauty and the Beast, I know the story. মোক মানুহে এইটো ষ্টৰী কথা কৈছে যে beast can also be loved by someone. Beauty loved the beast, kissed him, and he turned into a handsome prince. But Derry was asserting before Mr. Lamb that who is going to love me? Who is going to kiss me? There is none who is going to love me. So I will remain the same forever. I'm not going to change in my life, okay? Till I grow old, this will be my condition. Derry he kothatu Mr. Lamb koisile soa. I won't ever look different. It's page number 60, students. Please follow. I won't ever look different. When I am as old as you, I will look the same. I'll still only have half a face. So he was telling Mr. Lamb যে মই যেতিয়া বয়স হৈ যাব তেতিয়াও মই আপোনাৰ নিচিনা old হৈ যাওঁতেও মই একেই থাকিম. I'll still have half a face. Mr. Lamb, so you will, but the world won't. The world's got a whole face and the world's there to be looked at. All of you please underline that. The world's got a whole face and the world's there to look at. So Mr. Lamb was telling that yes, you will be only with half a face, because indirectly he means to say that your attitude is like that. You think like that you have got a half face, so you will remain the same forever. But the world won't, because the world has got a whole face and the world's there to be looked at. Means he's trying to tell before Derry that the world is such a beautiful place. The external manifestations of the beautiful things in the world, the beautiful nature filled with the merry creatures, okay, the different types of people. There's so much of beautiful things to enjoy in this world. So it is a whole face. It is up to us how we look at the world, okay? In what perspective, what is our attitude towards life, that depends upon the person. So Mr. Lamb is telling that the world is to be looked at. We should appreciate the beauties of the world. We are lucky that we are born as human beings. So it is up to us to enjoy the beauties of the world, okay? How to appreciate them, how to make our life worthwhile as a human being. Do you think this is the world, this old garden? Derry is asking Mr. Lamb, what do you think? This old garden is your world. You think this is your world? Mr. Lamb, when I am here, not the only one, but the world as much as anywhere. So Mr. Lamb is telling, when I am here in the garden is my world. World khon ami nijei create koribo paru. Moi tetia garden ot thaku, garden khone mur world. But the world, not the only one. Okay? Okol ei mur world nohoy. Garden ot thoka homoyt garden khone mur world. Moi jot thaku he khone mur world hoy jay. When I am here, does your leg hurt you? Tin doesn't hurt, boy. There is now, see, he is voluntarily asking question to Mr. Lamb. He is posing questions before Mr. Lamb. Jitu Lorai iman defiant asile, so introvert. When he first came to the garden, initially got to know that Mr. Lamb was there in the garden. He just wanted to go away from that place. Jao logai asile. Now you see how time was passing, how Derry was conversing with Mr. Lamb. Derry also was questioning Mr. Lamb. Okay, voluntarily he is questioning Mr. Lamb. Nije kiba kibi kotha Mr. Lamb khudise. Mr. Lamb or bikhoy he janibole try korise. So Derry asked him, does your leg hurt you? Apuni dukh pai niki? Apnar kosto hoy niki? Amar jante tingor leg ase. Tin doesn't hurt, boy. Mr. Lamb is telling, tin doesn't hurt. When it came off, did it? When it came off means when your leg was blown off, did it hurt you? Certainly. And now, I mean, where the tin stops at the top, there is asking. And now don't you get the pain? Where the tin stops means at a place tin stops and your own leg, the part of the leg starts, isn't it? Jo tin to join hoise apunar body logot. Hekhinit apuni bikh anubhav kore nai. Do you feel the pain there? Now and then, in wet weather, underline that, in wet weather, Mr. Lamb used to feel the pain. It doesn't signify. It doesn't signify means it doesn't matter to him at all. Derry, oh, that's something else they all say. Look at all those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. So Derry is telling that, oh, that's something else they say. That's all they say, means they here referring to the people of the society. Derry is telling that the people of the society often tell him like this. Within inverted comma, students, that means the words of the people. Means randomly he's talking about, means most of the comments that he gets from the people. Ki boli koy manhue tak? Look at all those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. Mane Derek pity kori pelai kisman manhue koy, inspire koribo karone kisman manhue koy je he bilakok swa. Look at those people who are in pain. Kintu still they are brave. They don't cry and they don't complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. Mr. Lamb, I haven't said it. Mr. Lamb কৈছে মইতো তোমাক এইবিলাক কথা কোৱা নাই. I have not uttered anything like this. Okay, these are the words of other people. And there is recollecting them. মানে অইন মানুহে Derry কি কৈছিলে সেই কথাখিনি Derry Mr. Lambৰ লগত share কৰিছে. Okay, he is sharing with Mr. Lamb. He is expressing before Mr. Lamb what other people used to tell him. But Mr. Lamb is telling that I don't tell these things. I have not told these things to you. I haven't said it. Derry, and think of all those people worse off than you. Think, you might have been blinded or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair or be deaf in your head and dribble. Okay, so Derry, again, these are the comments given by other people. Side tomalke likhi laba para, the comments made to Derry by other people. Many people used to tell Derry that you should think about those people who are worse off than you. Tumatke beya condition thake. For example, you might have been blinded. Tumi jodi blind hola heten titia bhabasun kenekwa holten. If you were born deaf, then consider your condition. If you have to live a life in a wheelchair, thank God you can walk. There are many people who live on a wheelchair. Or be deaf. Deaf means stupid in the head, and dribble. Dribble means paralyzed. Okay. What would you have done? So it is in the nature of people. Amiu teneke ko kunba manhu kosto thakile amar etu nature ba amaku manhu eneke they used to console us by telling that hodai nijot koi beya obostha thoka manhur kotha bhabibo lage. Tetia olop mane manhu better feel kore. Okay. So people used to console Derry like that. Other people used to console Derry like that. And these things now Derry is telling to Mr. Lamb. He's sharing with Mr. Lamb. But this with time you'll see students, the way Derry is talking to Mr. Lamb, the way he's expressing his feelings before Mr. Lamb, it seems that he didn't like this consolation at all. He wanted to be treated like a normal human being. Okay, he did not want too much of sympathy from people, or he did not want that people should be afraid of him. People should avoid him. Okay, people should neglect him. He just wanted a treatment that is meted out to normal people. Manhue tak normal manhor nisna bebohar koratu Derry bisarisile. Mr. Lamb, and that's all true. You know it? Mr. Lamb goes, "Thike koise, hebor to hosa kotha, jibur kotha tomak manhue koy, hekini to really real thing, okay? Hoto hosa kotha, thik kothai koise manhue tomak. Derry, it won't make my face change." See how adamant he was, how defiant he was, how negative Derry was. Derry is telling that they give these comments, but that won't make my face change. That is the bottom line for Derry. He's telling that the fundamental thing is that my face is not going to change. June ji nokok, muk bahut kotha kobo pare, okay? Mu inspire koribo pare, mu console koribo pare. Kintu kotha to hol je mur mukhon to eke thakibo. My face is going to remain the same. It's not going to change. Do you know, one day a woman went by me in the street. I was at the bus stop, and she was with another woman, and she looked at me and she said, whispered, only I heard her. She said, "Look at that. That's a terrible thing. That's a face only a mother could love." So Derry is sharing an incident, okay, his experience with Mr. Lamb. He's telling Mr. Lamb that, do you know, edin moi bus stopot asilu. Titia egoraki manhu mur usori par hoi goise. Okay, one day woman went by me in the street. Aru he manu goraki logot aru egoraki asile. There were two women, and I was standing at the bus stop. Two women were passing by me. Mu kinai par hoi goise. Aru mule sale. One woman looked at me, and then she whispered. Igoraki manhok fuspusai kanot goise, whispering to the other woman and saying, "Moi huni lukintu, moi huna palu." Okay, that look at that. That's a terrible thing. That means referring to Derry's face. Hetu swasun, kenekwa terrible thing. What kind of a weird thing it is? That's a face only a mother could love. Okay, underline koriba. That woman told Derry that, woman told the other woman that that's a face only a mother could love. Okay, this was the comment given by Derry's the woman to another woman, and that made Derry really very embarrassed. Okay, Derry was really embarrassed to listen to the comment given by the woman. Understood? And when did he hear that comment? Actually, that comment was not made to him directly. Two women were talking to each other. In Derry, he huna paisle. Okay, Derry huni bole paisle. He heard that. In fact, you may say he overheard that comment. Mr. Lamb, so you believe everything you hear then? Mr. Lamb would say, "Oh, tamane tumi ji kotha huna, hetuke bissak kora neki? You believe whatever you hear then?" Derry, it was cruel, referring to what? That particular incident. He's telling that it was really cruel for that woman to tell like that. May not be meant as such, just something said between them. Mr. Lamb tak bujaise tumar bishoye kijani koa nai, tahator nijor majot kiba eta kotha patise, tenekwao to hobo pare. May not be meant for you, just something between them, talking between themselves. Okay, it may not be, the woman might not be meaning to you, tumar bishoye kijani koa nai, etu to hobo pare.